Hello, my friend Scott here representing Youth Potential, and
hello everybody, my name's Carla.
yes, and if you haven't watched any of our videos before, you should know what her name is. Anyway, so today we're going to be talking about the pros of being an inpatient. You might not think that there are any good points about being in a mental ward in a hospital, but there are some good things to come out of it, and we're going to talk about it in this video. Between us, we've been in an inpatient 9 times. You've been 5 times, I've been 4 times, at different hospitals. And yeah, so from our experiences, we're just going to point out the good that can come out of being in there. Because I'm sure there are people out there watching this who've never been an inpatient or whatever, that would like to know a little bit more. So anyway, so the first thing is that your behaviour and well-being is monitored. So obviously being inside, you're going to have staff constantly watching what you're doing, whether it's good or bad, and then they have what they do, like 15-minute checks, hourly checks, things like that, and they write it all down, and they do the same for everyone. And obviously, if you have a breakdown or some self-destructive or destructive behaviour towards others, it'll all be marked down, and then they they should communicate it between each other so that all the important people that make decisions on your behalf or speak to you can be well informed, basically, because at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to go out without with like a formal meeting about your well-being, and by them monitoring you whilst you're in there, then they can make informed decisions, basically. Whether it's it can obviously also help lead to a proper diagnosis. If you don't have a proper diagnosis, they pretty much always make one in there, don't you, if you've not already got one? Yeah. Okay, cool.
So the next one is, while you're in there, they are able to keep you safe. Now, obviously, if you're informal, then you can go out, and an informal patient is where you're in there, you've voluntarily put yourself in there.
Well, no, it's voluntary, allowed to be put in there, isn't it? Because where we are, you can't just walk into one of these places.
So, obviously, if you're going out, you've got to make sure to keep yourself safe. But if you're sectioned, then they can keep you on, without your will, to keep you in there and keep you safe, so you can keep safe from yourself, from others, and just from the outside world, especially if you're feeling like paranoid or something like that.
If you've got a phobia or whatever. Obviously most people that are put in these places are put in there for their own safety, usually for the reasons of to stop them hurting themselves. So yeah, but as we say, you can be put in there to be safe from others, because patients have been known to attack each other in there. So yeah, at least the professionals are about to make sure that is at least stopped, prevented. Another good thing is that you always have mental health staff to talk to. It's not a luxury that everyone has. Obviously, when you're at home, you have telephone lines that you can call, family, friends, that kind of stuff. But at least in these places, there are always staff 24/7. They kind of do anywhere between 8-hour and 12-hour shifts. So they swap over. You'll have your regular healthcare assistants. You'll have your mental health nurses. You'll have psychiatrists, psychologists.
Sometimes social workers.
Yeah, so there's a variety of people with different skills, different qualifications that you can speak to, which obviously talking is one of the best kind of things you can do to help manage your mental health.
Yeah. So the next one is you get regular physical checks. So every morning you would get observations done usually. Some people would have them done more, especially if they're known to have a physical problem. For example, when I was in there, I had mine done every morning, but then they found a problem with my heart, but it was my medication that I was on, so they would check it regularly to make sure that it was okay.
They always ask you if you've had a poo at 8 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I always had that as well. Like, have you, the term that I always got of your bowels moved this morning. I'm like, I just woke up. You got me out of bed. It's like, no, no. Anyway, enough of that. Okay, another good thing is that you get regular assessments, or at least one assessment. So just like I said earlier about the staff monitoring you, it's almost like they're constantly assessing you. But then you get a proper assessment where, you get an opportunity to talk about why you've done what you've done, or if you know why you've done what you've done. And then, a psychiatrist, psychologist, or whatever, they can look at your behaviour and then tell you that, you know, you've done this, this, and this, which means it could be this kind of disorder. And then they can look at medication and, you know, and then going forwards, your care plan. So yeah, regular assessments. It's obviously important, especially if it's the first time you've had like a breakdown or a psychotic episode. Someone needs to assess you to know how to, for you to improve, basically.
Yeah. The next one is occupational therapy. Now this one is probably by far my favourite one because I absolutely love occupational therapy.
It's one of the few. It's good.
I love doing all the art stuff in there. Like, for example, I've made bracelets, done paintings, drawing, just word searches. They can give you anything, especially if you're feeling down. You can go and ask and they'll go into the occupational therapy room usually, and they can just get you something out, and you can distract yourself with that if you don't have anything on your personal self.
Yeah, I think occupational therapy just kind of brings you back to normality a little bit, doesn't it? Because it's very easy to be in that place and feel like you're on another planet. But occupational therapy, you know, just like games and being creative, listening to music, stuff like that, it does take your mind off it. I think my favourite one was when we had a session where everyone in the room got to pick a music video on YouTube, and then we all got to watch it and listen to it. I picked Basket Case by Green Day because I thought it was ironic. I mean, I love the song anyway, but the fact that the music video is in a mental hospital, I found it quite funny. No one else found it funny apart from the guy that was actually facilitating. He found it funny. So
sometimes if you're allowed out as well, they'll take you out on like walks just around like the grounds of the hospital, which is good because it allows you to get some fresh air.
Oh, I never had that.
Really?
No, I mean, I was allowed out, but I didn't have anyone walk me around like a dog.
Oh no. Sometimes we were allowed out in groups and took like a little walk around the hospital grounds.
Okay. I suppose it's better than being stuck indoors the whole time, isn't it? Again, going back to the assessment, medication. Obviously, if you've not been on medication and this is your first time in there, or even a second time actually, they can review your medication and they will dispense it to you. So there's usually up to 4 times, I think. Is there 4 times? Usually like one in the morning, sort of like lunchtime, early afternoon, and then night time. And it's always at the same time. There'll always be someone in like I don't know where I was. There, someone in a dispensary.
And there was like a little hatch that you kind of lined up in.
So basically, people just couldn't go in there and help themselves to all sorts of stuff. But yeah, again, they can review your medication if it needs an increase. They can give you. It's really hard to get to sleep in these kinds of places, so they can give you Zopiclone or something like that, can't they? But yeah, it's regulated and they're not in short supply, so that's a good thing.
Now the last one is you get a care plan for like going back into the world, so like when you get discharged, which sometimes is really good. Well, most of the time it is really good because you know what's going on. You know that when you come out, you've at least going to get
you've got something to fall back on. Yeah. I think obviously they shouldn't really be discharging you without a care plan, which has that happened to you once?
Yeah, sometimes it's happened to me where they just discharge me without a care plan, which isn't good, obviously.
No, it's not your fault. It's
No.
their lack of
resources.
Care. Well, care, in my opinion, not so much resources, but I mean, a care plan. At the end of the day, they don't just discharge you and let you go off willy nilly. It's not as simple as that. They need to make sure that you usually end up seeing the crisis team in this country anyway. And then it's a case of they give you medication to go out with as well, usually a prescription to give to your doctor. And the care plan itself usually involves, you know, what your symptoms, what your struggles are, and then
what you're going to do to help yourself.
Yeah.
And what they can do to help yourself.
Yeah,
help you.
By they you mean the NHS basically. Yeah. And then you end up agreeing on that, don't you? You usually have to sign it as well. So, but and that's obviously, it's of major importance. Cool. So, in our opinion, that's the pros of being an inpatient. As horrible as it can feel sometimes, there are good things to come out of it. It just depends where you're looking, really, isn't it? But, okay, guys, thank you very much. We're going to do the cons of being an inpatient straight after this. I hope that gave you a really good insight into the positives that can come out of being an inpatient. If you guys can think of anything else that we missed in this video, please leave a comment below. We love reading them. Thank you very much. All the best. Take care. Bye.
Bye.